Hi, folks, and welcome to another edition of This Week in Ferrum Baseball. I'm your host, Gary Holden, Sports Information Director and Assistant AD. With me is head baseball coach Ryan Brittle. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary.
Yeah, you guys are riding a nice little streak right now. I think the baseball gods have been kind of wearing black and gold this week for you,
They've
huh?
been smiling down on us a little bit.
Let's talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing lately. Had a great sweep over Methodist last weekend. You couldn't have asked for something better. The reigning conference champions and picked to win it again this year. 6-1, 6-2, and 9-1. Really kind of convincing third game.
We threw the ball on the mound really well, Gary. Jake Perkins started the first game of the series. Gave up 1 run and 1 hit in 8 innings.
Struck out 10.
Struck out 10, walked 4. So we had a few base runners here and there, and of course early in the game against a quality opponent, it's always going to be touch and go for a little while. But we started to swing the bats a little bit. Their number one, Travis Johnson, was on the mound. He did a really good job, and I thought we did a really, really good job of battling at the plate, of overcoming kind of what they do typically is try to get ahead in the count, and then they start expanding the strike zone. And they're really good. They really execute well at trying to throw in pitches, particularly fastballs off the outside corner and getting you to swing at it or getting the umpire to call them for strikes. And I thought we did a really good job of fouling some of those off and even getting some base hits off some of those and scoring some runs.
Yeah, it looked as though you guys really, went deep into the count on a lot of the pitchers and everything, and it just seemed as though you guys were patient at the plate.
We try. I don't want to give away all our secrets, but that's one of the things that we preach offensively is to be patient hitters early in the game, to take more pitches, try and drive the pitch count of the pitcher up so that we can get into people's bullpens. And we tell our guys, just like our pitching staff, the best guys that we have on our staff are the guys that are starting the games. And
sure,
typically it's a little easier to score runs off of people's bullpens. And the quicker you can get into that bullpen in a 3-game series, the better off you're going to be as the series goes along.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit about this last. You've won 8 out of your last 9 games. As a team, you're batting .344. You're only allowing a 213 batting average for your opponents and everything. It just looks as though the bats have come alive. Your arms are doing extremely well. All 3 of your starting pitchers, and really, some of the guys that are pitching on Tuesdays and Wednesdays are doing extremely well for you right now. Just seems like it's an overall well-rounded unit.
It is. We feel like everything for us starts on the mound. Of course, our 3 weekend starters we have a lot of faith and confidence in. Matt Wilder, who started last week on Tuesday, or started Wednesday against Roanoke, started yesterday against Lynchburg, and Brandon Turner, who started last week against Lynchburg, will start tonight at 6 o'clock against Guilford here at home. But those 2 guys had their first starts for us in their career. First wins. Brandon Turner was named the Rookie Pitcher of the Week last week for the USA South Conference. Pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball. And our bullpen, we have several guys in the bullpen that have thrown really well. Blake Odie, Hunter Peck, Jared Talley, Easton Riggs, Zach Mineraldi, and Alex Brown. And those guys are very reliable. It makes it easier to be a coach when you have guys in your bullpen that are going to go on the mound and they're going to throw strikes. And our guys coming out of the bullpen have the ability to strike people out. We strike out a lot of guys. We don't give up very many hits, and that's a very difficult combination to score runs against.
You guys have played the last 9 games. You've struck out 84 batters
in 78 innings.
Yeah,
and we've only given up 63 hits, so less than a hit per inning and more than a strikeout per inning.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other honors. Austin Winkles following up after his hitting for the cycle last week versus Lynchburg. D3Baseball.com put a piece on him on the front page of their online publication, and then they added him to their team of the week and everything. Any surprises about how he's been playing this year?
Wink, it's great, and I've talked to you about this, and I've talked to Coach Naff about this, that a young man that goes into a senior year looking to have a big season last year,
right,
and gets hurt and is able to go through the process of getting a 6-year of eligibility.
Medical redshirt, yep.
Comes out this year and struggled at the beginning of the year, but struggled just in getting hits. He was having good at-bats. He understands what we want him to do, and he was hitting down in the order to begin the year. We shuffled the lineup a little bit and stuck him in our leadoff spot, and he's just done a fantastic job. He's great at taking pitches, fouling pitches off, which I think are all great things, great signs of good hitting. And he's been striking the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
He's been running some balls in the gaps, ran a couple balls out of the yard, and just been a great spark plug for us. And it's great to see him after his injury last year to come back and be able to big contributor to this team.
Sure, and a team player too. I remember one of the games last week he was playing in. You needed him to bunt, and he's the big stick at that point in time. But he squared right up there and everything. He was laying that ball down, trying to move the runner over.
And the up and down our lineup, our guys are unselfish. We had Ty Comer. Nobody's been hotter than Ty Comer over the last few games, and I don't remember if it was the second or third game of the series this past weekend. He comes up, runners on first and second. Massey and Winkles led off the inning with a walk and a base hit, I think. But first and second, nobody out. And our team philosophy in general is to bunt guys over with runners on first and second. And, without question or without a doubt, he squares around, lays down a bunt, and, leaves it up to Lane Deaver to get all the accolades. And so Lane comes up with runners on second and third after Comer bunts, hits a deep fly ball to center field,
Two runs.
And Massey tags up at second base and scores all the way from second base on the fly ball to center field. And that's the first inning of the ball game. We go up 2-0. We only give up one run in the game, so it ended up being the winning run of the game. But certainly set the tone for the rest of the game that day.
And Comer's been having just a great season overall, but particularly this last 9-game stretch where you guys have won 8 of those games, batting .500, 18 for 36 at the plate, 9 runs, 5 doubles, a triple, a home run, and 16 RBIs. Can't really ask for better than that in a 9-game stretch.
I always tell people, and if you look at Ty, he's a regular looking guy, good looking guy like us, but a regular looking guy. And you watch him as a ball player, and he doesn't do anything particularly special. He's not super fast. He doesn't have a ton of power. He's not flashy defensively, but he is such a good baseball player. He knows what's going on at the plate. He knows what's going on in the field. And he's the guy at the end of the game that you go, well, that guy's not really that great. And you look at the box score, and he's 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs.
Yeah, regularly.
And I love that he's on our team.
Yep. And he is an alum, correct? His dad played here?
His dad played here. We have 5 guys, and maybe you might want to do a story on it one day, but we have 5 guys on our team whose parents went to school here. 4 of them, their dads played baseball here.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Meadows, Ty Comer, whose dad was at the game yesterday, Lane Deaver, whose dad was at the game yesterday, and Jake Perkins, whose dad was at the game yesterday.
Sure.
And we have Matt Wilder, the kid that started yesterday. His mom went to school here in the
Really?
70s. So I told Coach Nath this morning it was really special to me that that we had more fans at Lynchburg College than Lynchburg College did.
Mm-hmm.
That was special to me, 1, and 2, that we had 2 All-Americans and an All-Conference player in the stands at our baseball games.
Yeah.
Ray Perkins showed up at the game yesterday. Jake didn't even make the trip. He had class all day and wasn't going to pitch, so he didn't go with us, but Ray came over anyway, and Heath Deaver and Tim Comer both were at the game. So and to have those guys there and to have their support is a fantastic thing for our program and our school as a whole.
That's always been a great recruiting area. Back when Coach Abe Naff was coaching, he always was out there. Appomattox, Russburg, Lynchburg, always seemed to get a lot of people from that central Virginia,
The
Lynchburg
Seminole
area.
District. He
Yep.
dominated the Seminole District.
Yeah. So, well, it's pretty good to see those guys all playing for us and everything. You're right. We ought to do a story on that at some point in time. So, let's talk a little bit about tonight. Your game tonight versus Guilford, a non-conference game. We haven't faced them in a while, but we've got them coming in here. It was supposed to be a 4 o'clock game. We pushed it back to 6 to allow for the players to stay in class a little bit longer, both teams.
And it's going to be a beautiful night.
Oh yeah, the weather's been gorgeous so far. So,
Well, Guilford's coming in here off They played this past weekend against Randolph-Macon, who's ranked in the top 10 in the country. They split with Macon this weekend. They won one game 2-1, lost a game 2-1. So we haven't played Guilford since I've been here, and so it's probably going to be a good game.
Yeah.
We got Brandon Turner on the mound, who's a solid freshman left-handed pitcher, and we got a couple guys in the bullpen that are fresh, ready to go. So our defense and our bats will probably have to grind out some at bats early in the game, and hopefully somebody can get a big hit and score some runs, and we can pull out of there with a victory tonight. But
we're looking forward to it. Fans can watch the live stats. We will be streaming tonight's game as well. Just go to ferrumpanthers.com to catch that link. Coach, give me a little bit of an update, if you would, about the Versus Cancer. We talked last week a little bit about that. You wrapped it up last weekend during the Methodist games on Saturday.
We had a phenomenal experience last week. We went down to Carilion Children's Hospital with 7 of our seniors. They had a great experience and a good time visiting. Then we had the Versus Cancer Day on Saturday against Methodist. We raised close to $2,000 for children's cancer research and for Carilion Hospital. It'll be split between the two. And we intend on continuing to raise money for children's cancer throughout. I don't know how long it'll last, maybe 2 years, 3 years, who knows. But we're going to continue to raise money for them and continue to create awareness around Carilion Children's Hospital and their children's clinic. And I just think it's something that's great to do and bigger than baseball, bigger than Ferrum College,
yep.
Bigger than all of that. We it was a humbling experience to go into the hospital and to see anywhere from infants all the way up to 17-year-olds that are battling something that could be life-threatening, or that certainly puts a huge dent in their social and academic things that they want to do, and it's interrupted their lives, and hopefully we can bring them a little bit of joy or comfort, or just make them forget about it for a few minutes anyway.
Sure. From the photos I saw, it just looked as though the children really appreciated having the team come over there. I know the folks at Carilion loved having you guys there. We saw some letters and everything coming back thanking us for it and everything. So great opportunity, and I could tell that the players were really enjoying themselves by with meeting all the children and being part of that.
Absolutely, it was good. It was a fantastic experience, and we plan to make a trip back there pretty soon.
Well, kudos to you and your team for doing that. I'm sure they very much appreciate it and everything. So. Talk a little bit about what's coming up next week. You play Guilford tonight, then what's coming up this weekend?
Yeah, Guilford tonight at 6 o'clock at home. We head down the road to Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday. Probably going to have a schedule change. We'll make a decision on that tomorrow, but as of right now, we play at 7 o'clock Friday night. William Peace. We're playing in Cary, North Carolina at the USA complex down there. That's where they play their home games. So we play at 7 o'clock Friday night, and most likely we're going to play a doubleheader Saturday.
Because of the rain
because
coming in?
There's supposed to be rain and thunderstorms on Sunday, most of the day Sunday. So we're probably going to play a doubleheader. We don't know a start time yet, but it'll be between 12 and 3 o'clock in the afternoons when we'll start our doubleheader.
We'll make the change on ferrumpanthers.com, plus we'll send something out on Twitter, Facebook, so people can make sure that they know what time the starting pitch is going to be thrown out.
So Peace is a program that's up and coming. They've been in Division III baseball for 2 years, and we know a little bit about them because we played them last year. But if you look at their stats, they got a pitching staff that lead the conference in strikeouts. So they've got some guys on the mound that have good stuff, and they're certainly a dangerous team. They're in an area in Raleigh, North Carolina that's full of baseball.
Sure.
And they're at a school that's 8-1 girls to guys. So it's probably that baseball program is going to take leaps and bounds over the next few years.
Sure.
I would imagine, but we look forward to going down there and getting back on the field and competing again. And next week we have 2 JV games on Tuesday against Patrick Henry Community College right here at Panther Field. And I think the start time's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I can't remember.
And you've added a game to your varsity
And we
schedule as
did.
well. Talk a little bit about how that came about. Number 6 in the nation, Frostburg State University.
We lost a game early in the year to Stevenson and to Southern Virginia.
Okay.
So I've been looking at schedules, trying to figure out if people, were coming close by or if they had open dates to play, because that's kind of what you do. You just look at somebody else's schedule and say, okay, we could possibly match up this day. We could play them. So I was looking, and I got to know Coach Robertson at Frostburg State last year when we were doing the regional advisory council. I'm on the regional advisory council that helps decide how we rank the teams in the region.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to know him, so I was like, I'm going to go to Frostburg's schedule, and just happened to look, and they're on spring break next week. They play Southern Virginia at Southern Virginia on
Okay.
Wednesday night. So I just shot him an email and said, you guys interested in playing? I knew they'd lost some games to Roanoke. They were supposed to play Roanoke a 3-game series. They lost that series. So I just shot him an email and said, you guys interested in playing? And he emailed me back and said, let's do it on the 17th. So we're going to play at 2:30 next Thursday, March the 17th.
Okay.
Frostburg State was in the College World Series last year. In fact, they were ranked number 1 in the country last year. They're ranked number 8 in the country right now on d3baseball.com. And it'll be a fantastic atmosphere and a great experience for our guys to go against one of the best teams in the country.
Sure, you guys have already done that once this year in a 3-game series with Emory. They were ranked number 3 at the time. I'm not sure how high they're ranked now.
Third, they're ranked 3rd in the country.
They're still ranked 3rd right now.
Yeah, they're 11-2, ranked 3rd in the country. So I want our guys to have the best experience they could possibly have. And I believe that one way to do that is to play the best schedule you can play.
Sure.
And so we look forward to playing anybody. We'll play whomever. We've played a Division II school already. We started this streak with a Division II school. We played Emory University, who was 3rd. And we'll get the opportunity to play Frostburg State, who's 8th.
It looks like you're starting to do more non-conference series, 3-game series. Typically you do 2. Is there? Are you just trying to mimic what you're playing in the conference series?
You try to replicate your conference games, your conference series, so that you're as prepared as possible when you go into the first conference series.
Gotcha.
Your pitchers, they need to understand, they're going to pitch on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, and they need to be able to get their pitch counts up. And so in order to do that, and in order to develop your younger pitchers or the back end of your pitching staff, you need to play all those innings and all those games so those guys can get in there and get time. Because as you move through the season, typically the innings pitched from the guys that are at the end of your pitching staff start to go down because your starters start to throw more innings.
Sure.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Let's hope those baseball gods stay with us then. So, well, Ryan, you guys are doing a great job right now. We're real excited to see how things are going to go. We'll be back here next week. We'll have another episode of This Week in Ferrum Baseball. And until then, folks, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.